Did you guys see this shit? Did you guys see this shit on Fox and
Billions of
Friends?
dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right. I would say this. We're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up.
If the homeless are a problem, just fucking kill them. Just fucking start killing the homeless. Oh my God. Yeah, if this person has a point, how is criticizing Charlie Kirk's hate speech an instant pink slip at your jobs? Because we keep seeing people getting fired from their jobs for criticizing Charlie Kirk. But then when somebody on Fox and Friends goes on and just says we should start fucking killing the homeless and the mentally ill instead of trying to help them, what am I supposed to think? What kind of a world have you actually created? So this Fox News host did end up apologizing for that. Fox News host apologizes for extremely callous remarks on unhoused people. Brian Kilmeade apologized on Sunday for saying days earlier that people who are experiencing homelessness and mental illness should be executed. See, these are the types of things that should get you fired. These are the types of things that should get you in trouble at your job. The host said his comments on Wednesday were extremely callous. Yeah, but that came from somewhere. When your first thought is, let's just start killing people. Let's just start killing people. When that's your first response, then I'm sorry, but it's coming from somewhere. And I just don't know what I'm supposed to think about that at all. What the hell? Kilmeade's about face came amid a climate in which people across the U.S. are either being fired from or disciplined at their jobs amidst a coordinated effort to clamp down on commentary that is critical about Turning Point USA's executive director, Charlie Kirk, who was shot to death at an event in Utah on Wednesday. Mere hours before the conservative political activist was killed while on the right-wing Fox News program Fox and Friends, Kilmeade and two others were discussing the killing of 23-year-old okay, so the Ukrainian woman who was killed on the train by a guy who obviously had a bunch of mental problems and seemed to have a fucking crackdown on the train. If you've seen the video before, it's really fucking chilling. I can find the video for you. Said he said sorry, so it's okay now. Let me see here. Said a schizophrenic who knifed her because he thought that she was scanning his brain. I hadn't seen the extra details on it. But just so you guys know what I'm talking about, we're gonna look at the video, a censored version of the video, but the video nonetheless, because there's a conversation that needs to be had. Interesting. So there's two conversations to be had here. For one, I was told everywhere on Twitter that CNN wasn't talking about the fatal stabbing of the Ukrainian refugee girl. That's what I was told. Yeah, okay, we don't need the actual video because the actual image is right here. There's the victim, there's the assailant, and he takes a pocket knife and just stabs her repeatedly. And people don't respond immediately to it happening. I guess combination of shock, fear, headphones being in the ear, who knows, but they don't respond immediately to it. And she does not get the help she needs. And she ends up passing away as a result. Now, the narrative that's been sold to us here is that places on the left have not been covering this. And I even bought into that narrative because I looked at Ground News and didn't see this being covered via Ground News. And that was enough for me to go, that's really fishy. I wonder why that's happening. And that was about it. But apparently, that information was incorrect, and Ground News was not aggregating things correctly. I feel like it might be because I was looking at the assailant's name at the time, whereas CNN may be talking specifically about the girl, and that changes things a little bit. But the narrative on the right has been, oh, this guy had a lengthy criminal mental health history and 14 different times in incarceration, and that was all bad, and that needed to be, we need to do better about punishing criminals. And you know what? I would agree. We need to do better about our criminals, but we don't need to be punishing them better, because punishment does not necessarily teach lessons. We need to do better about getting people to a point where they do not engage in crimes again. What you need is not better punishment. What you need is rehabilitation, especially if the problem is somebody's mental health. Nothing justifies what the fuck this person did, and what they did was monstrous behavior, to be sure. But the narrative coming from the right that this is the fault of people failing the individual or failing to properly execute or kill this individual when they were supposed to is baffling behavior. And this is an end result of that kind of baffling way that people look at their fellow human beings. Mere hours before, okay, let's see here. Kilmeade's about-face came amid a climate in which people across the U.S. are being fired or disciplined at their jobs amid a coordinated effort to clamp down on commentary that is critical about Turning Point USA's executive director, Charlie Kirk, who was shot to death at an event in Utah on Wednesday. Mere hours before the conservative political activist was killed, while on the right-wing Fox News program, Kilmeade and two other hosts were discussing the killing of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian woman who was fatally stabbed on a commuter train in North Carolina in August. The man charged with killing Zarutska was at random in Charlotte had reportedly been diagnosed with schizophrenia and had 14 prior criminal arrests. Surveillance photos of Zarutska's killing went viral online. During the Fox and Friends appearance on Wednesday discussing Zarutska's death, co-host Lawrence Jones said unhoused people with mental illnesses should either accept the publicly funded programs to help their situation or be jailed. And then Kilmeade responded, involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill him. Kilmeade faced widespread backlash for his comments. Among those to respond was California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom, who on social media posted a biblical verse reading, whoever closes his ear to the cry of the poor will himself call out and not be answered. On Sunday morning, during an appearance with Jones on Fox and Friends weekends, Kilmeade apologized for his idea of killing those who are unhoused and mentally ill. He said, I wrongfully said they should get lethal injections. I apologize for that extremely calloused remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. If you were obviously aware of that, my guy, then what the fuck are you talking about? If you are obviously aware of it, then why are we here? Now, let's go ahead and point out that right now we are seeing a fuck ton of censorship. We are seeing a fuck ton of censorship. A lot of it is hitting people on the left. Meanwhile, Dude Bro can go on air and freak the hell out about wanting to murder homeless people, and that's considered a-okay. But on the left, we are seeing people losing their jobs because they had opinions about Charlie Kirk that are not popular. And some of those people may have been celebrating his death. And while I don't agree with that shit, you should be allowed to. You have a First Amendment right? Isn't that something that we've been hearing from the right wing for years? Meanwhile, there is a chance that trans people are going to be losing their guns because Donald Trump wants to take guns away from people who are mentally ill, and that plays into this fucking shit. Oh, how do we handle the mentally ill? Let's just kill them all. Well, the right wing wants to consider people who are trans mentally ill. So how am I supposed to parse these facts? The right wing of the United States government and its punditry wants trans people to be considered mentally ill. The right wing of our politics and punditry not only wants trans people to be considered mentally ill, but wants mentally ill people to either be jailed or forced to accept government help, whatever government help might mean to them. And some of them just want them fucking dead. So if I'm putting two and two together here, If I'm putting two and two together here, that sounds a lot like the United States government and its punditry wanting trans people either government helped, jailed, or fucking killed. That's what that reads to me. When I look at all of that information, that's what I get. I don't know. Am I doing the math wrong here? Let me see if I'm doing the math wrong here. If trans equals mentally ill, and mentally ill equals need government, jail, meds, or death, then trans people need government, jail, meds, or death. That am I doing the math right? Am I doing the math right there? Because I feel like I'm doing the math right. I feel like I'm internalizing the information that the right wing of our political punditry is telling me, and that our politics are telling me, and I'm coming to the correct result. Now, we have a word for this. We have a word for this, but I have no idea how to spell it, so I guess you'll have to tell me what it is in the comment section. Kirigari says, what a terrible time to be diagnosed with ADHD under this administration. That's so weird. Anyway, unlike others who were deemed to have made offensive comments about Kirk's death, Kilmeade remained employed by Fox News. His professional fate struck a sharp contrast with Dowd, a veteran political analyst fired at MSNBC for suggesting on air that Kirk's far-right rhetoric may have contributed to the violence that killed him. Hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which lead to hateful actions, Dowd said. You can't stop these sorts of awful that you can't stop with these sort of awful that you can't stop with these sort of awful that you have and then these awful. That's not English. You can't stop with these sort of awful that you have and then saying these awful words and then not expect awful actions to take place. Is my reading comprehension just awful? The network and Dowd each separately issued apologies, but in a Substack article published Friday, Dowd said that he had been victimized by a right-wing media mob and that words he'd spoken before knowing Kirk had been the target of a shooting were misconstrued. Nina Nuna says, my brain hurts. Yeah, mine does too. Someone had a stroke writing the article, I guess. Yep. Zarutska's killing has become an inflection point for Republicans who are blaming Democratic policies in certain U.S. cities for such crimes. Hold on a minute. Alrighty, let's see here. Kilmeade is advocating for extrajudicial killings on Fox, yet Matthew Dowd was fired from MSNBC for pointing out that Charlie Kirk had dangerous rhetoric. This moral asymmetry in the media and online is destroying democracy. Zarutska's killing has become an inflection point for Republicans who are blaming Democratic policies and certain U.S. cities for such crimes. Studies show that people experiencing homelessness are more likely to be victims of violent crime than perpetrators, and other studies have shown their mental illness is not a predicator of future violence. But see, the thing is, the right wing of the United States is immune to facts and logic. They would rather argue with feels, and they would rather let people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh tell them that they're not arguing with feels and vibes while constantly arguing via feels and vibes. Tal says, I've seen plenty on Twitter saying that the Subway thing was because he has dark skin and she has light skin, and the people around didn't help because they have dark skin. I haven't seen that shit, but Kirigia says, wasn't Kilmeade the one suggesting that homeless people be, and I quote, executed? Yes, he was. And as of right now, he has his job, which is really weird to me that people don't call for him to lose his job on the right wing when they are so ready for Charlie Kirk to be their messiah and argue in favor of getting rid of people's jobs because they had opinions on him. Oy, oy, oy. Jassa also pointed me to this article here. I mean, that is a very attractive woman, Rolling Stone, but I don't know why I care. Anyway, people are losing their jobs for criticizing slain free speech advocate Charlie Kirk. Yeah, and this is all information that we all should already know at this point. Jassa says a number of businesses and other organizations have shown employees the door this week because of their public remarks about Kirk, who was assaulted on Wednesday while giving a speech at Utah Valley University. Jassa, are you copy pasting from the article? Oh, that was copy pasted from CBS News. There's more below. Gotcha. Yeah, some of the critics of Charlie Kirk have already faced consequences. Matthew Dowd, a political analyst from MSNBC, found himself out of a job today after on-air comments about Kirk in the immediate wake of the shooting. Long before confirmation of Charlie Kirk's death, Dowd had observed in a Wednesday appearance on the liberal-leaning cable news channel that Kirk was constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech aimed at certain groups. He added, "I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which lead to hateful actions, and I think that's the environment we're in." The network cut ties with Dowd, who apologized on his Blue Sky account, while MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler issued a separate statement saying, "During our breakdown of news coverage on the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable." Why the fuck are our journalists on the left wing absolute pussies? Why does the right wing stand with their journalists more often on this shit, whereas the left wing eats them up because we have to have some kind of fucking purity? I don't get it. I don't get it. Why is any of this like this? Why, if we have to have two political sides, can they not operate with the same fucking rules? We apologize for his statements, as has he. There is no place for violence in America. And then Dowd had a university speaking engagement canceled. The irony of this termination and a slew of similar firings over the past 24 hours is that Kirk and Turning Point USA, the conservative youth group he co-founded, branding themselves as the ultimate defenders of free speech. In a June debate at the Oxford Union, during a tour of the UK, in which he condemned the country for its totalitarian censorship of its citizens, he argued you should be allowed to say outrageous things. Last year, Kirk posted on X, "Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free." Yeah, Charlie Kirk argued himself that we should be allowed to engage in this kind of rhetoric, and yet he himself now has an army of people who are trying to make him a goddamn saint and are directly operating against his own wishes on how speech should operate in order to get people fired, while at the exact same time, saying that it's bad when the left does it. And it's not just here. Check this out. Ocean just sent this to me. This is from Congressman Clay Higgins, a U.S. House of Representatives member from Louisiana. "I'm going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate ban for life of every post or commenter that belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If they ran their mouth with their smart-ass hatred, celebrating the heinous murder of that beautiful young man who dedicated his whole life to delivering respectful, conservative truth to the hearts of liberal enclave universities." Clay Higgins, do you listen to yourself fucking speak? Do you listen to the words that come out of your own mouth? Jesus Christ. This language is so loaded, you could empty it out on a podcaster and change the entire way a nation thinks. Charlie Kirk was armed only with a Bible and a microphone and a constitution. Those profiles must come down. So I'm gonna lean forward in this fight, demanding that big tech have zero tolerance for violent political hate content. Wow! The right wing is arguing not in favor of free speech? The right wing is arguing in favor of curbing hate speech? What a strange world we live in. The weird thing about this is when they get to determine what is considered hate speech, suddenly we have quite a lot of issues. He wants to demand that big tech have zero tolerance for violent political hate content. I hope that they speak that out of both sides of their mouth. The user is to be banned from all platforms forever. All platforms forever. That would mean you're not allowed to have a World of Warcraft account, a Steam account, a Facebook account, a Twitter account, a Blue Sky account, a Patreon account, a YouTube account, a Twitch account, a Kick account, a Discord account. I'm also going after their business licenses and permitting. Their businesses will be blacklisted aggressively. They should be kicked from every school, and their driver's licenses should be revoked. I'm basically going to cancel with extreme prejudice these evil, sick animals who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination, and I'm starting that today. Clay Higgins, never fucking bitch about cancel culture ever again if you're going to engage in it with such impunity. What a fucking bitch-ass snowflake. Guys, let me know the minute that Representative Clay Higgins passes from a stroke or something. I would like to make a business trip to piss on his grave when that happens. I do not wish any harm to come to him in any way, shape, or form. But if in the future he happens to pass away, I would love to take the opportunity to stamp on his grave, since that seems to be the only thing that gets under his skin. Anyway, so that sounds like communicating threats to me. So there's another one here that Ocean sent me. I'm sincerely hoping that you're not doing this to derail me from anything important. I haven't read this yet. Let's see what it says. There are societal limits to the freedom of speech. Okay, we kind of agree there. We, the people, are reminding our fellow citizens that some speech will not be tolerated. Okay? Speech that incites violence should not be tolerated. We can agree on that, but that's not what you said. You just said vaguely some speech should not be tolerated. And operating freely within the construct of our society requires some modicum of decent behavior as determined by our traditional values. Oh, why do we have a fallacy here? Why do our traditional values have to determine anything? Shouldn't the determining factor behind anything right now be whether or not it serves us today? Fuck our traditional values. Fuck our tradition. Our tradition doesn't fucking matter. The thing that matters is how many people are helped and how many people are lifted up in the fucking now. And not one bit of that needs to be informed by tradition. The most egregious offenders, those who celebrated the evil assassination of Christian martyr Charlie Kirk, can live and speak freely in the wilderness. So he's talking about exile? He wants to exile people? My guy, there's only so many people you can exile before you create fucking Australia. We, the people, are done quietly tolerating the nasty, filthy hatred of the left in our public spaces. They're to be shunned in every way. Enough is enough. We're scourging our temple. Okay, well, you've already explained how you plan on doing that. You've already explained that you want to deperson everyone who has an opinion about a dead podcaster that you don't agree with. Wild. Absolutely wild behavior. I wonder if there's going to be any repercussions for this behavior from Representative Clay Higgins. I doubt that's going to be the case. And Ocean also sent me his About Me for some reason, because apparently he wants me to read his fucking LinkedIn profile. He spent much of his career dedicated to uniformed service. He's an Army veteran. So he's a member of a group of people that our country has classically fucking failed. So he wants to continue that tradition by classically fucking failing all of his constituents. That's so cool. I'm so happy that we're continuing this legacy of goddamn failure. He's a vet who defunds the VA. Ocean just sent me, and this was just to confirm who he is. But then I found something to criticize in here anyway. Representative Clay Higgins, never forget and never fail to recognize the darkness that threatens Christianity. Wake up, America. Wake up and buckle up. I thought this event was done by Islam, not Trantifa. What are you talking about, Clay Higgins? What are you talking about? What is your plan? Just thank you for the hydrate, Crow. Is your plan just kill all the people who are Muslim? Like, that's the threat to America you're worried about, right? 9/11 was a transide job. When a Christian sect gets power, persecutions of other Christians tends to follow. Yeah, that's why. So in the atheist community, when we had a lot of rampant Islamophobia, one of the key phrases that used to be uttered all the time to try to help quell that was, hey, you know that often the victims of radical Islam are people who adhere to the religion of Islam, right? Like, most of the time, their victims are the people who adhere to the religion. So constantly fighting against the religion instead of constantly fighting against the dogma and the ideology that is harming them, which is not always part and parcel to the religion, may be a prudent thing to do. Like how I have to actually have a lot of I have to have a lot of respect for the people in my community because they do fund my way of living, which is being able to eat food and have lights and have car. And yet, for some reason, all of those people who I have to thank out of one side of my mouth also get all of my fucking ire when they spend 50,069 channel points to make me say, oh, whoa. And I just hate it. I just hate it. I want all of you to stop. And if you don't stop, I don't know when I'm going to stop hurting you. Jesus fucking Christ. The hydrate from Crow was fine. This shit was not. Anyway, we live in wild and unserious times, don't we? Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.